Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a seriously mind-bending concept, your exact size in the universe, both physically and psychologically. We're going to break down the classic Hindi poem Aadami ka Anupat, which translates to the proportion of man. It's this brilliant, eye-opening piece of literature that really forces us to confront the massive irony of human existence. Prepare to have your perspective completely shifted by the time we hit the end of this journey.
Here's what we've got on the agenda today. First, we'll do the cosmic zoom. Then we'll tackle the giant human ego, unpack the poet's ultimate message, run through some key vocabulary, and wrap it all up with a pop quiz.
All right, Section 1, the cosmic zoom, from a room to the universe.
But hey, before we zoom way out, we've got to talk about the brilliant mind who came up with this. Girija Kumar Mathur. Born in 1919 in Ashokanagar, Madhya Pradesh, he was an absolute titan of Hindi literature, right up until he passed away in 1994. Now, even if that name doesn't immediately ring a bell, I guarantee you know his work. He's the legendary poet who took the iconic civil rights anthem, We Shall Overcome, and beautifully translated it into the famous Hindi song, Honge Kamyab. The guy really had this profound grasp of human struggle and unity, which, perfectly sets the stage for what we're looking at today.
So, let's get right into it. The poet starts really small. Picture two people in a kamra, just a single room. That room is inside a makan, a house. The house is in a neighborhood, which sits inside a nagar, or city. Then zoom out a bit more. The city is within a rajya, a state, which makes up just one piece of a desh, a country. And our country? It's just one of many on Prithvi, our Earth. But hold on, the zoom definitely doesn't stop there. Prithvi is literally just a speck, one of billions of stars floating in the Akashganga, our galaxy. And that whole galaxy? It's just a tiny dot inside the massive Brahman, the universe. Scientifically speaking, there might even be endless creations or srishti. So physically, we are practically invisible on a cosmic scale, a fraction of a speck of dust.
Moving on to Section 2, the giant human ego. Small body, massive pride. Now here is the real kicker. If our physical existence is that impossibly tiny, why do our emotions feel so overwhelmingly huge? Physically, our Anupat, our proportion, is barely a speck, yet psychologically we walk around carrying this massive, inflated ahankar, our ego. And attached to that ego is all this heavy baggage, irsha, which is jealousy, and grina, hatred. We honestly act like we are the masters of the universe, claiming ownership and territory, completely forgetting how fragile and frankly microscopic our existence really is.
And so, what's the actual result of all this ego and swarth, or selfishness? We end up building a diwar, a wall. But not a wall made of actual bricks. We build an invisible wall of avishwas, mistrust. The poet points out a deeply tragic irony here. Sure, countries are divided by borders, we know that. But what about the divisions sitting right in front of us? Because of our ego, two people can be sitting in the exact same physical kamra, the same room, and yet exist in two completely different worlds. It's crazy, right? We just isolate ourselves through our own narrow-mindedness.
Which brings us to Section 3, the poet's ultimate message, a call for unity.
This one-line summary right here pretty much captures the entire soul of Aadami ka Anupat. Because we are so unbelievably tiny compared to this vast, Virat universe, our egos are totally illogical. Like they make zero sense. The only rational response to being cosmically insignificant is to just drop the selfishness. We really have to replace our ahankar with vinamrata, humility. We need to swap out hatred for prem, love, and ekta, unity. Ultimately, it's only through compassion and harmony that we can give our tiny little existence some actual meaning.
All right, Section 4, Key Vocabulary. Let's dig into our Hindi-English glossary.
Okay, let's highlight a couple of the anchor words that really bring this whole poem to life. You might want to grab a screenshot of this one to study later. Notice Brahmand for universe and Akashganga for galaxy. Those are our huge cosmic terms. Then, looking a bit further down, we have the destructive forces, ahankar for ego, and swarth for selfishness. Those are the things building that diwar, the wall we just talked about. But look at the solutions, ekta, meaning unity, and sa astita, meaning coexistence. Getting a handle on these specific terms really unlocks the full depth of what the poet is trying to tell us.
And when we flip over to the English equivalents, the contrast is just as stark.
The entire emotional journey of this poem is literally moving away from ego, selfishness, and jealousy, and actively stepping toward humility, unity, and compassion.
Okay, Section 5, Pop Quiz Time. Let's see how you do in the Exam Prep Challenge.
Here we go. Question 1. Who wrote the poem Aadami ka Anupat?
The answer is, of course, Girija Kumar Mathur. And hey, serious bonus points if you remembered that he also translated "We Shall Overcome."
All right, question 2. What exactly does the poem compare? Think back to our big cosmic zoom. It compares the incredibly small physical size of humans with the unimaginable vastness of the universe. It is all about that physical proportion.
Moving on, question 3. What bad qualities does the poet specifically criticize? Remember those heavy negative emotions we carry around?
He goes right after our ego, jealousy, hatred, selfishness, and mistrust. Those are the exact traits that artificially inflate our sense of self.
Question 4. What is the ultimate lesson the poem teaches? Like, what's the positive takeaway here? Basically, because we are so unimaginably small, we should just drop the ego. We need to choose to be humble, kind, loving, and united. It's all about embracing coexistence.
And finally, question 5. This is the deep one. Why does the poet say that two people sitting right next to each other in the exact same room can live in two different worlds?
Because our ego and our misunderstandings end up building those invisible walls. They create massive emotional distance, which completely overrides our physical closeness. Well, you all did fantastic on that. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought directly inspired by Girija Kumar Mathur. Since every single one of us shares this tiny, microscopic speck of a planet floating in a massive, endless universe, will you choose to build isolating walls of ego, or will you build bridges of unity in your own small room? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep asking those big questions and never lose your curiosity.